an assigned desk that you sit at all day long? And how many of you have Blackberries and laptops? And do any of you work from home? Right, at any time, all the time? And can you think of a time recently where you may have emailed somebody sitting next to you rather than getting up and talking to them? All of this to say, and I probably will sound like I'm trying to sell this because this is what I do for a living, but that the nature of work has already changed. And it's amazing how many employers I meet with who think that what I'm talking about is turning their organization upside down and reinventing something, but really what I'm promoting is embracing that changing nature of work. So we're already working from places outside of our core places of business. We are on our Blackberries, we're on our laptops in the evenings and at home. What I want organizations to consider is taking advantage of the technology to reduce or eliminate unnecessary trips for parts of the organization where that makes sense. So I'm Robyn Bews. I am a project manager for WorkShift, and I work for Calgary Economic Development. People often wonder why Calgary Economic Development is leading a telework program. We're leading this program because we believe that it is really good for business, frankly. It's a program that promotes the concept that you don't have to go to work to be at work, and we think that's good for Calgary for a number of reasons. So how does this all relate to a healthy workplace? And when I sat down to sort of consider what my angle was going to be for this panel discussion, I was thinking about, what does a healthy workplace look like if I'm a shareholder of an organization, or an employer, or an employee, or a family member, or somebody as a member of the community. And I want to touch on each of these briefly, because I think that each of these shareholders or stakeholders from a health perspective certainly has a different vantage point, but each sees, I think, a pretty significant return on investment when we start integrating telework or working from home or virtualization into a workplace. So quickly again, how many of you have formal telework programs within your organizations? A couple. So almost everybody put up their hand and said they work from home, and about 5 people put up their hand and said they have formal programs. So that's one of the issues that we're trying to address with this program, is how do we embrace this and start capturing the data associated with it. Telework is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's growing. If we look at the generational issues that we're going to be talking, I'm sure, a little bit about later on, these youngsters are working very differently than we did. They're connecting very differently than we did. They're highly effective, and they're not going to tolerate driving from suburbia into a different kind of suburban jungle to sit in an office place. Calgary is a leader in this space. We have the only program of this kind in Canada. We have an opportunity to really take the bull by the horn in the next couple of years, take advantage of a program like WorkShift, and really take Calgary from being a place that has lots of flexible work practices to a place that really has embraced it in a formal way and can report on those benefits associated with it. And this is a real business strategy. So when I'm standing in front of leaders in boardrooms and I say the word telework, they all kind of reel. And what I want to start demonstrating is that this is as important of a strategy in an organization as any other for addressing the health and well-being of the organization. So, if I'm a shareholder, what does the organizational health mean to me? Well, it means that you're maximizing my shareholder value. And I've said to organizations, if I was a shareholder of this company and you refuse to consider telework, I'd be up in arms, because this is an opportunity for you to start considering ways to reduce operational expenditures. CP Rail has reported that they have reduced 2 entire floors in downtown Calgary of office space. They have 1,000% return on the investment on their telework program. I mean, these are programs that have very tangible bottom line impacts. Productivity. I mean, every organization I talk to right now says, my biggest challenge is I need to get more for less right now. We know that formal telework programs report 15 to 40% increases in employee productivity over an employee that's doing that same role from a cubicle environment. Really, I mean, we're ignoring an opportunity to take advantage of this practice in a really meaningful way. So, you know, an environmental footprint. That's it. As a shareholder, I'm starting to look at, you know, what organizations align with my values. What are the organizations that I'm investing in doing to address their environmental footprint? Telework is a way for an organization to address an environmental footprint by up to 20%. So I'm working with one organization right now that said, we did an environmental scan and we know that 20% of our CO2 footprint is associated with our employees' commutes. And we're working with them to start addressing, well, where does it make sense to integrate telework into this as a way to address this issue? As an employer, I want to make sure that I can get the best and brightest team. How do I attract and retain the top talent? We know that increasingly employees are considering organizations that will embrace flexible work practices as a chosen employer or for an employee of choice. And TELUS has reported that their at-home agent program, where they've sent a number of contact center agents home, has reduced the attrition rate by 90%. I talked to him yesterday to confirm whether or not that statistic was actually true. So we're seeing from an employer perspective how important these programs are becoming. And you know, from an employee perspective, one statistic that alarmed me when I started working on this project was 42% of Canadian employees would leave their current employer if given an opportunity to telework. And a big number of those would be willing to take a pay cut to do it. So what's motivating employees to make decisions about where they want to hang their hat is changing fundamentally. It's not about having a big mahogany desk with a view of the Bow River. It's about workplace flexibility, and certainly this data helps support that. So really, from an overall health perspective, I think that telework is becoming a bit of this potentially controversial statement, but it's becoming a bit of a panacea. It's really addressing productivity issues and OPEX reductions and work-life balance, so to speak. I think that WorkShift as a program, again, allows Calgarians and Calgary companies to really take the lead on this. We're creating tools and resources that make it really easy and fast and free. We've pre-purchased a bunch of tools with our funding for organizations to get these programs off the ground. And the reason that I was able to say that I'm a great closer is I found a fabulous quote from somebody who's much brighter than I am. Rosebeth Moss Cantor, Harvard Business School, one of Time's 50 most powerful women in the world. And she said, here's a deceptively simple action item to put on your agenda for business growth, working families, and a green future. Make it the norm for everyone to work at home 1 day a week. That single step could raise productivity, save energy, decrease pollution, reduce traffic congestion, cut household expenses, increase quality of family life, and keep educated women in the workforce. So, look forward to the panel discussion on this. Thank you.